Hello and welcome. You're with IndiaPostLive.com, India's first live conversation web television, which is very, very participatory in nature. All of you can take part in our conversations just by a click on the button. And you can also send us your posts, your tweets at #IndiaPostLive and @IndiaPostLive. Leave us your audio comments, your video comments during or after a conversation is over. So today we are talking about the need for sex education in schools. Many people are up in arms against Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan's statement advocating a ban on sex education. So the question we are asking is sex education really bad? Are we at all having sex education in a really comprehensive manner in schools as many people think we must? Take a look.
Dr. Harshvardhan may be India's health minister, but he still suffers from foot and mouth disease. His comments on banning sex education has been severely criticized by social media and the opposition. Though the subject of sex education needs a much thought out debate, as it will help students ease through the difficult phase of puberty and cope with the bodily and behavioral changes. While a section of educationists are supporting the cause, an even larger group belonging to traditional groups are opposing it tooth and nail. So does the government have enough courage to implement it in the school curriculum? Or will it develop cold feet due to pressure from its traditional vote bank?
All right, so sex education, the need for it and the kind of sex education that one must have in schools. We are going to talk about all these issues in a conversation, and I request all of you to take part through your comments and your tweets. Right now, joining me in the studio is Tehseen Poonawala. Tehseen is a social activist. Thank you so much for joining. We also have online guests. I have with me Shiv Shakti. Mr. Shiv Shakti is executive editor of Kamal Sandesh. Thank you so much for joining the conversation and welcome to India Post Live. Mr. Shiv Shakti, can you hear me? Okay, we also have Alok Kumar Mishra. Alok Kumar Mishra is an education consultant. Hi, can you hear me? Alok? Okay, your audio is very faint. We'll try and rectify that. He is an education consultant, and thank you so much for joining us on India Post Live. We also have from BJP's communication cell, Paritosh Vyas, who joins us through Skype. Welcome to the conversation, Mr. Vyas. Thank you so much for joining. Hi. All right. We also have another online guest, Sudeep Kohli. Sudeep is a blogger and a writer and a mother herself. Sudeep, if you can hear me, thank you so much for joining India Post Live and welcome to the conversation. Hi Sudeep, can you hear me?
Sorry, I really heard what the previous guest said.
No, we have nobody has spoken anything. Sudeep, nobody has spoken anything. I'm just introducing everyone and saying hi.
Okay, sorry, your voice is breaking
up. All right, we'll try and get the audio back. We'll try and get the audio back, Sudeep. Okay, thanks. Okay, Tehseen, let me start with you. This sex has always been taboo. The topic of sex, be it at home, you know, discussing sex with your parents is something that I know I couldn't really do very well. And this entire controversy that has happened on sex education, you know, the Union Health Minister has talked about banning sex education in schools. What are your thoughts on that? First thoughts.
Well, first of all, sex has not always been taboo. Two things about it. Culturally, those who talk about Indian morals or Indian values or Indian culture have not read any of the Indian texts. I'm not even going to texts like Kama Sutra. They've not even read the Ramayana and Mahabharata, which are books, which are epics filled with sexual innuendos, very direct sexual innuendos. So they haven't read it. They don't understand Indian culture. Indian culture is about actions and causes, so they don't read Indian culture. They haven't even gone to our temples with a description of sexual. So this bogus argument of culture is absolutely that, a bogus argument. Point number one. Point number two, let's look at it practically in today's day. If sex was really that bad, we wouldn't be the world's second most populous country, on our way to become the world's most populous country. So as much as the BJP and its affiliates in the Hindu Mahasabha do not like sex, the fact of the matter is everybody's having sex. Point number 3, this country is on the verge of being the world's youngest country. And it is sitting on an HIV bomb. That's another topic, we'll come to that later. Let's talk about sex education and why sex education very, very important. The simple reason sex education is simply not about biology, about teaching about the two reproductive systems. It's a lot more. And as we were discussing off the camera, it's about teaching psychology, it's about teaching women, it's about gender sensitization, it's about teaching men how to respect women, women how to respect men, and their sexual autonomy and their sexual anatomy. Both of these things, autonomy and anatomy. Because it's about learning what is the right touch and what is the wrong touch, not just for girls, even for young boys, because we know there are a lot of pedophiles on the run. So it is a very, very important subject. As you rightly said, because of the Western British influence in India, that's not what he said, but because of that period where the British rule India, we have made sex a taboo subject and we do not talk about sex at home. What is your alternative? Kids need to start learning correctly about sex, at least in school. There is a lot of information on sex going around, whether it's through internet, whether it's through books that are freely available, etc. You're not going to be able to ban it. You might as well teach people the right thing.
So that they have the right information
They have the
instead
right
of some warped information of the net.
Warped information. And just one quick point, the duty of the health minister, the last I checked, was to ensure that the poor are not overtreated were not overcharged for their treatments. There's no female feticide lying in garbage bins. The job of the health minister is to prevent this HIV bomb that we're sitting on, not get into people's bedrooms. If I need relationship advice or moral advice, I will go to Dr. Phil. I will write to the Agony Aunt column in Cosmopolitan or Femina. I do not need my health minister giving me moral science lectures. He needs to do what he needs to do. What he's done with this comment, and I'm just going to take one last second, is he stigmatized the entire HIV population by making them immoral. That, in my opinion, is being immoral, and the health minister, in my opinion, has committed the greatest immoral blunder, in my opinion.
All right. Let me now get Mr. Shiv Shakti, who is the executive editor of Kamal Sandesh. Sir, welcome to the conversation. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Tehseen just talked of, how sex education is important in schools, how one should get correct information about sex rather than warped information from the internet. What are your thoughts on the issue of sex education?
Actually, the issue has been wrong. The right issues have been raised, but in a wrong manner.
Okay.
As far as sex education is concerned, actually we'll have to see the context in which this entire debate and discussion actually takes place. And why sex education was introduced in West, in US and other European countries. So this has to be taken into account. Only mindless imitation of West, just because something is taking place in West and we have to import it and we have to copy it from West, that is not going to serve the purpose in India. So we have to actually we have to locate it in an Indian ambience. So in Indian ambience, the kind of problems which are being faced by especially the school-going children, those kind of problems are to be taken into account and proper analysis should be done. Not in the manner in which the UPA government had tried to introduce this education, sex education in 2007. Many Congress-ruled states themselves had actually opposed that kind of a course curriculum which was sought to be introduced in the schools. And due to the intense opposition by different groups, stakeholders, and even the Congress governments, which were at a state level like Kerala and Rajasthan, where Congress was in government. So this proposal was
okay.
withdrawn.
Okay, let me.
Factually incorrect. I just have to
Actually,
correct
when
it.
we
I'm sorry, I'm a petitioner in this. I'm a petitioner in the court.
Actually,
Tehseen is saying he's a petitioner
Yes,
in
yes.
this.
I'm a petitioner to make sex education compulsory. The gentleman is absolutely wrong in what he's saying. 5 states had opposed it. Yes, he's correct, Kerala and Rajasthan, but that was when Kerala was ruled by the left and Rajasthan by Vasundhara Raje. Maharashtra was the only Congress-ruled state that opposed it. That's because the Shiv Sena BJP had gone to court on it. So please get your facts very correct before you come
But
here.
instead of
Number one.
politicizing the issue-
Number two, this is not about Congress BJP.
Exactly.
Let's-
This is
yes.
not
Can
about
he, can,
Congress
let's ask him a
BJP.
specific question. He's not answered.
Your fact Your facts are not correct.
No, Kerala today implements it. Kerala today has a sex education.
No,
course. It's
Vasundhara
very
Raje
well
was not ruling Rajasthan at that point of time.
Please understand.
I don't know.
Vasundhara Raje. I'm a petitioner. Please get your facts correct.
You're
Number
completely
two,
wrong.
Kerala today has it. Number two, now let's not about Congress BJP. That's
Yeah,
a different-
can we not
let's
leave it.
politicize
this issue?
Let's get to
Please.
ask him a
Politicization
simple
is
question.
only taking
Ask him a
place.
simple
All
question.
politicization is
Please
taking
ask him a
place
simple
on this
question.
issue.
Yes, I understand you don't like the Congress. I think the BJP is a bunch of morons. The point is this. Let's get to the fact of the matter. The fact of the matter.
issue is a larger issue.
The larger issue is this. I know your health minister and your prime minister slip their tongues off. We let them be. Let's talk about the larger issue. Can you tell me specifically, sir, what in that content is that you find objectionable? Can you be very specific on what did you find objectionable? Surely you don't think, Mr. Reputed person, that the teachers are practically teaching sex education. So what did you find objectionable? Be very specific. Don't get into vague ideas of Europe, India, Indian culture. Be specific.
My question is something different. Why your government was not able to introduce
Arre, my government is bad. My government is thrown out of power. You talk about your government. Can you tell me what is specific? It's not a Congress BJP debate. He wants to make it Congress BJP.
Sir, can we please not making a
You want to make it Congress
BJP?
BJP? I'll tell you what's immoral. The Prime Minister chasing women is immoral. Let's not go there. Don't put me down that road. I am not interested in
No,
doing
let's
that.
not. Let's
So
not.
let's stick to the topic.
Let's stick to
Yes.
whether or not sex education is bad. Please,
I'm
let's
unable
stick to
to-
that. Okay.
I'm unable to hear you.
Of course, you won't hear the
No,
important part.
sir, I'm saying let us please not politicize this issue of a BJP government and a Congress government and UPA government and NDA government. Let's talk of the larger issue. Is sex education bad or not? And you talked, sir, I want to ask you very quickly before I take a Facebook poll. We will be showing you a poll that was on Facebook on, people's thoughts on sex education. You talked of the Western influence, but don't you think children are getting a lot of information now from the internet? And internet is worldwide. Internet is, I mean, we are. Don't you think it's time we start thinking globally and not think of only the Indian context vis-a-vis the Western context? Don't you think it is important that children get correct information, that sex is demystified to children? So let me finish, please. Please let me finish my question. If sex is demystified to these young adults, people who are just entering puberty, rather than getting warped and wrong information from the internet, which leads to, may or may not lead to, a lot of youngsters committing A, sexual crimes, B, a lot of teenage pregnancies and conception and those bigger issues. I'm not even going to HIV, I'm just talking of, because sexual crimes also, and a study has said, also stems from a lot of unresolved queries about sex. So very quickly a response to that and then we'll go to a Facebook poll. Sir, I can't hear you.
Actually, I am not.
Yeah, okay.
I am not disputing what you are saying.
Okay.
Yeah. I am not disputing what you are saying.
Okay.
I am not here arguing that there shouldn't be an education linked to sex, whatever your sex education you are saying. I
Okay,
am not saying
great.
this. What I am saying, what are the trends in which, what were the compulsions under which this kind of education was introduced? First, we should have a research, proper research and proper understanding of the thing. Even now in West, there are trends towards abstinence. There are trends towards chastity. There are trends towards conventional sex education. So these trends are already there.
What
because
is conventional sex? What is
society is
conventional
also
sex education?
reverting
Can you
back to
explain? What is
this kind of
conventional sex
very-
education?
Sorry?
What is conventional sex education? You said that,
Hello?
yeah. So I'm trying to ask you, what is conventional sex education that you talked about?
Conventional sex education which are already present in our society, and there are different mechanisms which are present in our society through which the sex education, it is not that our society, if in school sex education is not taking place, that doesn't mean that the society is not aware of what sex education. Everything does not fall within the parameters of this formal education.
So you're saying it should not be a part of the curriculum. Formal
Holistic
education is
formal
curriculum.
and informal. Even then, we are very much in favor of the sex, very much in favor of sex education.
Okay.
But this sex education has some kind of pejorative connotation, some kind of, you can name it health education. Some other, its content has to be thought out.
Okay.
It is not
Okay.
like the content in which vulgarity and everything was
Can
present
you be
in
precise?
during
Okay, he-
2007 when this
What was
very
vulgar?
curriculum
Can
was
you
sought
be
to
precise?
actually implemented in the school.
Let
by
me
the
quickly
UP
now,
government.
now that this point has been raised, can I, sir,
So
Mr.
that
Shivshakti?
distinction should be made because
Yeah. Sir, can I please bring in Alok Kumar Mishra, who is an education consultant? Let me ask him his view. You know, Mr. Shivshakti has just said that instead of sex education, one should call it health education. Now, do you agree with that? What kind of sex education do you think this country really needs right now?
the other names also.
Hello.
Other
hello,
things also. He's saying other
hello,
things also, other than sex. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yes,
Alok.
हाँ, हेलो
Please go ahead.
हाँ मेरी आवाज सुनाई दे रही है आपको?
बिल्कुल सुनाई दे रही है, बोलिए.
ओके देखिए मेरा मानना ये है, मेरे पास में सेक्स एजुकेशन को क्रिटिसाइज करने के बहुत सारे कारण हैं और सेक्स एजुकेशन नहीं होना चाहिए, उसके पीछे मेरे पास में बहुत सारे कारण हैं और उसमें से कुछ कारणों का मैं उल्लेख करूंगा. सबसे पहला बात तो ये है कि सेक्स एजुकेशन के माध्यम से हम क्या कहना चाहते हैं, क्या करना चाहते हैं, सोसाइटी को किस दिशा में ले जाना चाहते हैं. तो मेरा मानना ये है कि सेक्स एजुकेशन या किसी भी तरह के ऐसे एजुकेशनल इंटरवेंशन प्रोग्राम का जो उद्देश्य है वो चरित्र निर्माण और व्यक्तित्व विकास और साथ में जो भारत की सभ्यता और संस्कृति है उसके प्रति एक बृहद अवधारणा विकसित करना है. तो उस कंडीशन में सेक्स एजुकेशन अब तक कितना सफल हुआ है, इस बात को हमें वास्तव में क्रिटिसाइज करना पड़ेगा. हमें देखना पड़ेगा कि जिन देशों में सेक्स एजुकेशन को इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया है वहां पे जो आपने क्राइम्स और ये सब चीजें बताई हैं वहां होती हैं कि नहीं होती हैं. तो मुझे तो ऐसा लगता है कि वहां कुछ ज्यादा ही होती हैं. ब्रिटेन में और आपके वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज में ऐसे बहुत सारे न्यूज़पेपर्स में चीजें आती हैं जो कि काफी सेक्स एजुकेशन के अगेंस्ट होती हैं. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि सेक्स एजुकेशन जो है एक सबसेट है, एक छोटा सबसेट है, उसको हम अनावश्यक टूल दे रहे हैं और वो चरित्र निर्माण, व्यक्तित्व विकास, राष्ट्रभक्ति का विकास और सांस्कृतिक विकास का एक छोटा सा अंग है और उसको अगर एक राइट तरीके से रखा जाए तो शायद ज्यादा अच्छा होगा. और मैं एक चीज जानना चाहता हूँ कि संघ की जो शाखाएं होती हैं, राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ की जो शाखाएं होती हैं पूरे भारतवर्ष में जो होती हैं, उसमें हमें काफी बृहत्तर एक शिक्षा मिलती है, राष्ट्रभक्ति की शिक्षा मिलती है, नेतृत्व विकास की शिक्षा मिलती है, चरित्र निर्माण की शिक्षा मिलती है.
Okay. Can I just ask you one question? Whether you are from RSS or BJP or Congress, I'm talking as a student of science, every human being goes through changes during puberty. And don't you think if a young boy or a young girl has questions about his or her changing body, अगर उसको ऑपोजिट सेक्स या सेम सेक्स के साथ अट्रैक्शन होता है, आपको नहीं लगता कि अगर सही तरीके से उसको इसके बारे में जानकारी दी जाए, that person can grow to become a more cultured individual in terms of bad touch and good touch. हमने ये देखा है, सर let me finish my question. हमने ये देखा है कि इस देश में 53.2% of children are abused उन लोगों से जिनको वो ट्रस्ट करते हैं. तो अगर हम इस एडुकेशन में उनको बताएं कि बैड टच क्या है, गुड टच क्या है, अगर हम ये एडुकेशन दे बच्चों को, इट्स नॉट जस्ट अबाउट हाउ टू हैव सेक्स, इट्स नॉट अबाउट पोर्नोग्राफी, but it is about telling a person about the body, about hygiene, about conception and about preventing sexual crimes. क्या आपको नहीं लगता कि सेक्स एडुकेशन का ये भी मतलब हो सकता है?
बिल्कुल, मेरा तो मानना ये है कि सेक्स एजुकेशन में जो चीजों आपने बताई हैं उनकी शिक्षा तो बिल्कुल देनी ही चाहिए, लेकिन इसके साथ में एक बहुत बड़ा एक किंतु परंतु लगा हुआ है कि इसके माध्यम से जो पिछले कुछ सालों में जो सेक्स एजुकेशन को ग्लैमराइज करने का प्रयास किया गया है कि सेक्स एजुकेशन को किस तरीके से निरूपित किया जाए कि सेक्स इज काइंड ऑफ मतलब इसको खासतौर पे इसको बड़ा ही क्रिटिकल दृष्टि से देखने की जरूरत है. और मुझे लगता है कि जो बातें आपने कही हैं कि गुड टच एंड बैड टच और ये सब चीजें, वो सब चीजें तो बिल्कुल इंट्रोड्यूस करनी चाहिए और किसी के प्यूबर्टी के एज में किसी के मन में कोई सेक्स के प्रति क्वेरी
बिल्कुल,
है
exactly.
तो उसका समाधान होना चाहिए।
Thank you.
लेकिन साथ में हमारा कहना ये भी है साथ में कि सेक्स एजुकेशन को एक छोटे सबसेट के तौर पे देखिए, ना कि सेक्स एजुकेशन को प्राइमरी एम के तौर पे देखिए। और अनफॉर्चुनेटली ऐसा हो रहा है कि सेक्स एजुकेशन को एक नीड के तौर पे और एक
Atul ji,
प्राइमरी एम के तौर पे देखा जा रहा है।
sorry, Alok ji, let's now find out what the common people are saying, what people who are using social media are saying. Tehseen, I would like you also to take a look. एक Facebook एक पोल हुआ था सेक्स एजुकेशन को लेकर और लोगों का ये रिस्पॉन्स था। अभी हम स्क्रीन पे देखेंगे. We will take a look. Sorry, I need to switch back to English ASAP. Okay, so there was a Facebook poll on sex education and let's find out what the poll talked about. Should Indian schools have sex education as part of their curriculum? All right. Okay, that's a pie chart, Tehseen.
Yes.
75% say government should do it right away. 18 say yes, but the government needs to develop a module for it, and 7% say no, we are not ready for it. Okay, so this is a poll that had happened. And also, before I go back to my online guest and my studio guest to Tehseen, we also have some video comments. In fact, this is a topic that obviously a lot of people have very strong opinions about. Let us also quickly take a look at some of the video comments that the viewers of India Post Live have posted. Okay, before that, we are bringing you some tweets. Chetan Bhagat had said, youth back the BJP this time to take India forward, not to bring out the worst, backward and outdated ideas. So Chetan Bhagat has talked very strongly about sex education and, the way forward to take India forward. Neena Haridas writes, Modi government has found treatment for STDs and AIDS. Teach kids morality, fidelity and yoga, not vulgar sex education. Ban on condoms next, she asks. Sambit Patra says, I am pained in today's scenario the word value has become the most vulgar word and the word vulgar has a newfound respect for itself. Zaid Hamid says BJP is banning sex education because it includes a complete chapter on ND Tiwari's adventures. All right. So these were some tweets that came in, and of course, let's also take a look at what people are saying about sex education.
I think sex education is very important in school. In fact, as important as any other subject, because it prepares kids for something that is not in their books and something that is not taught to them at their homes. It prepares them better for the world outside. And banning sex education is, I think, utterly regressive, nothing else. Because you cannot hide from something that is so natural and so universal.
I think there is a lot of debate done internationally on this topic. Should we or should we not allow sex education in schools? I think it is extremely important that we define sex education because many people, including me, can feel anxious or tentative in tackling the topics of sex, sexuality, and sexual health. It can be quite overwhelming to start a discussion on this topic, or educators may get confused about what to teach, when to teach, where to start, etc. In general, parents and guardians should be the primary sexuality educators for their children. It is extremely important that the students receive age-appropriate sexual health information. We do not want to overload them, and we should only provide them information that has been proven to be effective. And the schools can help the families by providing culturally and meaningful learning opportunities in a safe and non-judgmental environment.
Okay, a promotion of sex education for a safe environment for children, that is what most of the people are talking about. Very quickly, most of the people who we spoke to and the tweets that we saw are saying that a ban on sex education is regressive.
Look, there were the questions you asked the two people from the right-wing parties or the right-wing journalists from the party. What do they find precisely objectionable in that material? None of them had an answer to that. They went on some bunkum about values and some bunkum about not Indian culture. Look, values, morality, differ people to different people. I think the Prime Minister not accepting his wife is immoral. I think chasing young girls was immoral. To some people, they even defended that. I think a rapist in his cabinet is immoral. That is a different matter. Morality differs from person to person. Nobody is the judge of morality. Definitely not the government. The government's job is not to be the judge of morality. What is the job then? The fact of the matter is, it is the mindset that bothers me. This idea of banning condoms. Why can't people in a consensual monogamous relationship not be using condoms? Ultimately, it's also to reduce the population. And God knows, apart from the HIV bomb, we're sitting on a population bomb. Why should that be banned? I mean, why should that you speak against wearing condoms? Why this idea that wearing condoms means you're in an illicit relationship? Point. This idea today that came out, women should not wear bikinis, women should not do this. This sort of, and as Chetan Bhagat rightly tweeted, this is not why this government has come to power. This government has come to power to govern, not get into people's bedrooms. The fact of the matter is, and coming to your topic of sex education, we have a young country, the average age is 28, whether they like it or they don't like it, everybody is having sex, we're on the way to become the most populous country. We need to start teaching our people the right and the wrong in that. Biologically, physically, psychologically. We have a lot of youngsters who are being abused. His statistic that more women are raped in the UK is an absolutely bogus statistic. I just checked that. That is not true. More crimes are registered in India, despite the fact police in India don't register crimes, as it happened in the case of the minister. The fact is more women are violated in India. We need to start talking about sex education. We need to start talking about sexual rights of boys, of girls, of men, of women, of transgenders, of everybody. We need to start accepting people. The government needs to start helping those who are suffering from HIV and stop getting into people's bedrooms and beds.
All right, Mr. Paritosh Vyas, I've kept you waiting high. Okay, sex education, not just to educate people about hygiene. You know, ironically, initially Mr. Shiv Shakti and Alok Kumar Mishra were totally against sex education, but when I asked them specifically about hygiene and about developing bodies and about questions and about the good touch, bad touch, that is prevention of sexual crimes, both of them agreed that yes, this kind of education should be imparted. Mr. Paritosh Vyas, your comments.
Two things very quickly, although I was kept for a long time.
But I think you heard the conversation.
In my school days, we did not have any sex education per se,
right.
Although I was in one of the best schools in Calcutta at that time. But there was no curriculum in the schools at that time for a specific purpose of sex education, number one.
Right.
That does not mean that my generation turned into monsters or were sadomasochists, you know, that is one part.
Okay.
Second thing is, yes, 101%, there is no doubt you should have a national or a state level curriculum which is designed for that particular state, which covers all the sensitivities which is required to be addressed. And yes, the curriculum must be embedded in the educational system itself. Now what happens, there are a lot of things which are going on in other schools nowadays. For example, I'll talk about Gujarat. In Gujarat, almost all schools have a formal or an informal way in which sex education is imparted to the children. In co-educational schools, in girls' schools and in boys' schools. They have separate classes for this kind of education for girls, separate classes for boys, audio-visual programs, and everything is done. And absolutely, I'm okay with the idea, and there is no doubt at all that sex education is the need of the hour. Considering, as you said correctly, the internet boom or bane, whatever you say, is the wrong source for young minds to get their information about sex. So it's perfectly okay with me, but only thing is a national curriculum must be designed which will take care of the sensitivities of the local state populace. I think that should cover everything.
Yes, you know, you said what I think even Tehseen is talking about, but why then did Mr. Harshvardhan advocate a ban on sex education, and how is, sex education, how do you really relate sex education with Indian values? I'm just trying to understand, sir. Just want to understand.
I'll thank, let us all thank Dr. Harshvardhan for giving us a chance to debate today on this very topic. That is
thank you, Dr.
thing.
Harshvardhan. Okay, go on.
Thank you. Now the second thing is he has made his position very clear. Like you were quoting Facebook about a few minutes back. I would request you to go to his page on the Facebook and read through it. I'm sure a lot of answers which which a lot of questions which have been asked in this program will be covered out there. So I am not a spokesperson for Dr. Harshvardhan, but I have read that article of
Tehseen
this.
says he's read. Tehseen says he's also read it.
I read the
I've
article.
read it and I'm satisfied with
No,
this
no, but
answer.
his
So let us
answers
not
were as-
into it. He didn't say that you ban sex education.
No,
did he?
no, no, no.
And I mean, nobody in the right
no,
mind
no.
today in India will talk about that. So let us go ahead and let us say, as I said, we are not politicizing it.
Yeah,
I
we are
think
not.
people be told, no BJP, no Congress. It's for the Indians.
Absolutely.
It's for the young children.
Absolutely.
And I'm very sure the good touch and the bad touch which you are talking about can be first inculcated at the age of 3 or 4
Yes.
by the very parents of the children.
Absolutely.
You know, the schools come later.
Yeah, you're
So
absolutely
the more
right.
friendly the parents are with the children, the more comfortable the parents are with their children.
Yeah.
Like I am very comfortable with my son and my daughter. And we discuss everything. So if you have that kind of a relation with your children, I'm very much sure that sex education in school can also become a secondary aspect, as long as the parents are mentors and good friends. So that is also a part which must be taken into consideration.
Yes, education, Mr. Vyas, definitely begins at home. There is no doubt there. But also, in order to, a larger context of, education on sex and sexual issues, everybody else said that it should not be called sex education. It should be called health education, and sex education should be a tiny part of it. That's what. So why is this word sex? Why is it the word sex so wrong?
Calling rose something else, does the rose change?
That's
No,
what I'm
why do you
asking.
have an issue with it being called sex? Ultimately, if none of our parents had sex, none of us would be sitting here debating. So I don't know what is this problem with the word sex.
Training. It cannot be done by school teachers. They are embarrassed to talk to adolescents. I'm telling you this.
Why should they?
Sir, I just wanted to bring that up. Mr. Vyas, I wanted to bring it up that sex is mentioned, or rather, these issues are mentioned when you, in biology class and in moral science class. Sex education per se is still not taught in schools. So the question we're asking is, does it need...
In the curriculum. You don't have a curriculum on sex education.
Exactly.
He's wrong.
What happens, it is left to the poor
he's
teachers
wrong. There is
to
a curriculum.
confront a class of adolescents. And the teachers themselves feel embarrassed about talking.
No, one second.
Okay, Tehseen has a point to make.
I very respectfully disagree because He's the second time you mentioned it, hence I have to come in. There was a curriculum put out by the UPA government, a national curriculum, just like he says, which those states which we discussed opposed it. So first there was a curriculum put out, national curriculum. This curriculum was accepted worldwide and appreciated even by the United Nations. That's number one. Number two, I went on Dr. Harshvardhan's page. What Dr. Harshvardhan did, as much as they don't want to politicize it, says, 2007, UPA politicized it, etc., made it vulgar. I want to ask everybody, what in that curriculum was vulgar? Nor were the teachers teaching it practically. Nor were the diagrams pornographic. So what was vulgar? They were teaching you about reproduction, slowly about reproduction. These were normal diagrams, as less visual than you would see on the internet. This was appreciated by the United Nations. So there was nothing vulgar about it. Can anybody on your show give me a specific of what was vulgar? They will have no answer to that. The third point that I want to make is, yes, I'm sure Dr. Harshvardhan talks about values and morals. I appreciate the good doctor. You know what? For me, what's immoral is watching pornography in the Karnataka assembly and those same people getting tickets. That to me is immoral. So
Oh,
when
you
are
Dr.
making
Harshvardhan...
it political,
No, I
Tehseen.
don't. I'm not making it political.
ND
That to
Tiwari
me-
and company
that-
not only watching,
No,
performing it.
listen, there's
That
a
is
difference. I'll
pornography.
explain
Let's
something
not-
to you.
let's
Let me
not.
explain.
Again,
I am
we
not
are-
what ND Tiwari
you
did was
started,
also
I started rebutting you.
immoral. Was also immoral.
Yeah,
Was also
so don't
immoral.
start it.
Absolutely
Please.
immoral. But there's a difference between consensual
Can
and
we
there's a
talk of
difference between
children?
chasing women. However,
Can
this
we
is
not talk of
this
ND
is not
Tiwari?
about-
Can
this
we
is
talk
not
of
about
children?
ND Tiwari or the Prime Minister chasing a young girl. This is about our children and the future of this country.
Exactly. Thank you.
And the fact of the matter is, somebody needs to get up and start teaching. This bogus of values, this bogus of Indian culture needs to stop, and somebody needs to be specific of what they mean, or leave the argument alone and start helping
But
our
now I
children.
don't think there is any debate. In fact, I
Yes.
think we have demystified this entire debate on the conversation, that yes, sex education as far as good touch, bad touch is concerned, sex education as far as understanding changes in the human body is concerned, sex education as far as understanding emotional changes when it comes to attraction to the common sex or attraction to another person is concerned, sex education is required. as Mr. Vyas said, it starts at home,
Yes.
but it should probably also be done in schools where children spend a lot of time and with each other, with a lot of other young children. Mr. Vyas, do you agree with what I said, or are we going to fight again?
I don't fight on proper things. I have made my point very clear. The
Right.
poor teachers are, they are so embarrassed while talking about sex. You go to any teacher and
Yes.
ask that PD teacher or a gen teacher,
Yeah.
that you are in front of 50 children and you're talking about sex, how does he or she feel?
Absolutely.
So you need professionals who can tackle this. It's not a teacher who's teaching grammar or teaching biology who can talk about sex freely. Not even parents can do that to their children.
Right.
So you need to do that. You need a curriculum, you need people who are trained to tackle these problems and talk about this without any embarrassment. That is it what I am talking.
Right, Mr. Vyas, thank you so much for clearing that up for us. The fact that he said that there is a need for a curriculum.
Absolutely.
So I think that entire debate and the entire issue, there is no fight anymore. I think this is the first time that we are not fighting with each other. I would like to thank my online guests. I would like to thank Tehseen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For we were going off track once in a while, but we were coming back on track, that the mental, emotional and physical health of the young adults, people who are just entering adulthood, needs to be addressed. I would like to thank Mr. Shiv Shakti. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Even you agreed that finally there has to be a curriculum. Do you have any last comments? Is there something you want to say?
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to make a small point.
Surely.
Actually, you see, hello.
Please go ahead,
I just
sir.
wanted to make a small point.
Please go ahead.
The entire debate actually focuses around the manner in which this kind of curriculum. Hello.
Yeah, go on.
The entire debate actually takes place around the context in which this entire curriculum sought to be prepared and forced in a manner in which actually people are not accepting. So there should be debate and discussion. This is a very good initiative that you
All right. Okay.
in West, actually situations were different. There were high rates of teenage pregnancies. The adults children were sought to ignore the trend. If you study the trend in the pedagogy, there is more actually focus towards abstinence, chastity, and conventional wisdom about sex and conventional education about sex.
All right. Thank
So
you.
these kind of trends have reappeared in West, and they are actually going back to conventional wisdom. So India, before taking up this issue, should go through the experience of the West, the manner they have actually experienced it, and the problems they face.
So you're saying there
Only
should
on
be
the
more
basis
debates.
of that experience actually start such kind of introduce such kind of education in our.
So you're saying there should be more debates and more thought on this. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
but we are opposed to blind imitation of West.
All right,
Blind
all right.
imitation of West.
Don't
That's the
don't
blindness and
imitate
blind imitation.
the
That should
West
be
blindly. There should be more thought and debate. Point taken. Thank you so much. Can I get Mr. Alok Kumar Mishra for his final comments? Mr. Mishra, you've been hearing the entire debate and everybody agrees that, well, there should be something that is taught our young adults. Mr. Mishra, are you there? Okay, I think we seem to have lost him. But thank you so much. I think we had a very healthy conversation, and where the children and young adults were, for a change, the prime target of all our thought processes. Thank you so much, Tehseen, for your insights. Thank you so much. The conversation continues on India Post Live through your video and audio comments, your posts, and of course your tweets at #IndiaPostLive and @IndiaPostLive. Thank you so much for watching.